Here we are, service management key concepts. So this is where from the exam focus also begins. There are a lot of terms here which you have to recall, which you have to understand, because in the exam some of those terms will be asked what they mean. The exam is actually straightforward. It has a medium challenge, I would say, in my opinion. So service management and examples of services, just like the router example, we have got services like restaurants providing accommodation, even things like laundry services and so on. Who knows? Many of these services might be dependent on IT, and they may have to use ITIL to make it run properly. And so those are services, and to manage the services, we need service management. Think about how services are managed. Look at these words here: specialized organizational capabilities. Your organization is delivering some services, they create some products, so they are specialized. And they have some capabilities. There are people who are able to develop software. There are people who are able to respond as a service desk analyst or an expert. So those are the different capabilities. There are people who have capabilities in data centers, server management, and so on. And when they do that, they are creating value for customers. And if you remove the services, if you remove the products, what happens? There may be no value delivered. We need the services and the products as a basis for delivering value by doing service management in this form. So keywords: specialized organizational capabilities to enable value in the form of services. And the IT infrastructure services is a well-known phrase. You have things like network management, virtualization, servers, security, database, data center, server management, email management, and so on. Yeah, so quite a lot. Application management. So if you think more about it, it requires a lot of thinking, a lot of planning. The word value has emerged in the last maybe even 15 years or so, maybe even more, but gaining more importance nowadays. And I want to ask you, what is the meaning of value? Does value have a single definition, or does it have many definitions? For example, I may value something which is at a less cost. Somebody else may value better quality. Yeah? So do you have any of your own thoughts about value?
For me, I think a value is something that gives a user the opportunity to achieve the best performance. So it's under quality, maybe.
Very good. Yes, it's like some users might expect the best performance. For them, that is value. You're right, Amina. Thank you. Another user might prefer less cost. Some other user may prefer faster responses. And yet another customer might prefer a simpler process. Yeah? So each one has their own needs, concerns, and expectations. So that's the challenge in IT service management. How do we make sure that we are delivering value to all the stakeholders, where everybody has their own concept of value? Therefore, there needs to be a common definition of value. So there needs to be maybe an understanding, a discussion on what value means to everybody. So this is the definition of value. This is where you may have exam questions. Which of the below option defines value? So this is the value definition. The perceived benefits, usefulness, and importance of something. Someone is receiving certain benefits, some use, and some importance based on the examples what we just discussed. And why do organizations exist? They don't exist just like that. They exist only for delivering value for themselves also. Your company exists because they want to create some revenue for themselves, some profit for themselves. That is also value. At the same time, if they don't generate value for their customers, then it becomes difficult. So the word stakeholder means it can be the service provider, it can mean the service consumer, the customer, the user, it can mean the government, the local community, the partners, the consultants, the suppliers, the vendors, and so on. So stakeholders can cover a whole lot of people and communities and organizations. Some people, when they get the training for example, in your case, you may expect to be certified, receive a good certificate. So that's an example of a value, what you expect. This is an example of a PMP certification. We deliver PMP courses also, project management. So value is a key focus of ITIL 4. Everything revolves around value. Many times organizations think that value can be created by themselves. If there's an IT company, they may create products, they may define and create solutions and services, and they may start selling them, and the customers may buy them. But if the customers don't use the products correctly, and if the service provider doesn't collaborate with the customer and vice versa, then what happens to the value? Maybe the value will not be completely delivered. Therefore, value has to be co-created. Can you think of an example of co-creation? What is meant by co-creation? A situation where people are co-creating value together, rather than just one party defining value and pushing it to the other party. Maybe think of an example in your own environment where value is not being co-created, or value is being co-created.
Okay, can I take this ITIL training as an example? It's a value co-created. Let's say you're giving me the service, okay? But if I don't focus through the training, or I don't pay attention, I will not achieve my my value, which is getting the certificate.
Yes, excellent.
So it's both way. You're giving, and I have to work on it. It's not I'm just receiving and don't work, don't pay attention, something like that.
Yes, very true. A really good example. So the two have to collaborate, isn't it? That's the meaning here. And
Exactly.
if either party, so the expectations have to be clear. So before the training begins, you have to know what training you want, and what you have to clarify what are you expecting from the training. So I also asked you, and then I have to do my job also. So perfect example. And if the collaboration, and it can happen that during the journey, during the customer's journey, there may be some weak points. There may be some drops in the performance of either party. That's why they have regular service reviews. So in this case, sometimes we may have breaks, and we may have stopped for some questions and see how it is going on. Is everything okay? We don't want to make it too stressful also, the training. Yeah, it should be a bit relaxed sometimes and a bit intense sometimes. So all those things have to be done during the journey. Only then the value will be co-created, and it'll be a good experience for everybody. So it's not just about attending training, but it's about a good experience, a positive experience, a delightful experience for all relevant stakeholders, while at the same time being professional, following the rules, having a contract signed between us, and so on, yeah, in case of value creation. Therefore, bi-directional, you see that. Now, there are a lot of text here for the exam. A lot of this text is not really important. So far, the only important things we have covered is the definition of value, the definition of service management, and the concept of value co-creation. Now we look at some of the stakeholders who are involved in this value focus. And I already mentioned in between some terms like service consumers and customers, users, service provider, partners, suppliers, other shareholders, yeah, who are buying shares of a company, who may be board of directors, or and so on. So this is just a general additional slide here. We don't have to go too deep into this. Another small concept to be known is what an organization means. We've heard about large corporations, smaller, medium business, small business, partnership companies, then individual proprietor companies also. So as you see here, an organization is not always just a group of people or a large corporation. It can also be a person or a group of people that has its own functions with responsibilities, authorities, and relationships to achieve its objectives. So if you look at your own organization, there are different people having different roles and responsibilities, different levels of authority. Some people are like a team lead or technical analyst, senior technical analyst, manager, senior manager, director, program director, and so on. So collection of all this is known as an organization. And yes, and they are usually legal entities. Yeah, they have to create a company, create a joint venture, or create a large corporation, legalize it, and work with each other. So such and every organization has its own departments like engineering, administration, IT, finance, and so on. Few more basic terms. This initial chapter is all about the basic terminology, nothing complicated, all straightforward. So the two common terms which come up are service providers and service consumers. Providers, as the name clearly indicates, what they should do, they provide the services, provisioning or providing services. Can they be internal? For example, if you have in your own company, are there internal service providers which provide services internally? Yes, of course. The IT department may be providing services to the finance department. On the other hand, an IT company may be providing services to a bank or a telecom company. So they are an external service provider. So you could have internal providers, external providers. Of course, as you know, providing services externally can be more challenging because internally we may know the people. So if we make mistakes, then we can still, based on our working relationship, we may say sorry and improve it a little bit. But with an external customer, there may be penalties for breach of services. So it makes it more challenging. So here we are with having covered a few basic concepts, and I'll pause here for you to digest and ask any questions. And meanwhile, we have some information for you. I'll be bringing up this so that you can note our contact information and website,